The view from Tier VII North was amazing. The sea of leaves below stretching out to the shores of a city, an ocean stretching across the sky. It was Mason's favourite spot, sitting on the Romanesque railing with a macchiato and a slice of cake. It beat any icy rock he had ever been to. The interior of Iris was very much like the Earth, or so he'd been told. Aside from the extreme reversal of curvature, it was the same gravity, climate, and biome, though she had never originally contained great modern cities. Having been built in the 4th century of her life, things would be busy in the city beyond the birch forest. 2 million people getting ready to celebrate Iris's 12th century of life, ringing in the next century of her endless voyage through the stars. Tomorrow would see the streets filled with celebrants, offering up their thanks and praise for her dutiful protection and gracious hosting of more than 15 million residents that lived here, to say nothing of her children, carrying at least as many more between them. The last of the macchiato drained into his mouth, marking the end of this little viewing session. It wasn't like he had much to do, but he liked to limit how long he sat in one place, to avoid his wanderlust kicking in. There really wasn't much to this far out from Sol, certainly not enough to wander between, but Proxima Centauri was filled with new and unexplored belts and moons, though it was 6 decades from here, not a short wait at all. Mason began strolling down through the tiers, headed for the northern forest and its many languid paths. It worked out that there were 288 possible routes from the northern cap to the city, just within the forest's marked paths. He had resolved to try a different path each time he made the trip. Today would be path 154, one for every day since his rescue. As he reached the edge of the forest, he could see Iris waiting. She could appear anywhere within her great form, almost always with a virtual or holographic presence, as she actually only had one humanoid body of the fizz variety. But that was the one waiting for him, waving at him, though not with the usual smile and energy. Something was wrong, or at least she was worried about something. Crossing the little bridge that extended from the cap to the forest's edge, Mason smiled and accepted her usual greeting hug before speaking. "Something wrong?" he inquired. He was painted all over her face, and she rarely waited for him, preferring to run over and leap into embrace. "A small asteroid hit my ice shield." This sort of thing happened a lot. It wouldn't be the sort of thing to worry about usually, causing Mason to frown. If it was something to worry about, he had an idea what it might be. Deceleration? It was certainly apparent if they did. Iris nodded profusely. Sudden burn or long burn? He was fairly certain which it was. 3 seconds before impact. Fear flashed across her face. "I will take a walk out there, have a look around. You better get the police ready at all the airlocks, just in case." He threw up a reassuring smile, hoping it would lift her mood a little. "Do you think it's an attack?" Iris looked a little puzzled, as though pirates had not even occurred to her, most likely assuming it was an accident, that the ship had not seen her until it was too late. "It's possible. Best to be safe." Mason stepped back onto the little bridge. "I will exit through the polar access port." With that, he took to the sky, long thin flares of engine plasma flowing from the tips of his longest tendrils. It didn't take long for him to reach Tier 40, where rotation was 1/10 that of the ground. The main access port here was large enough for shuttles to pass through, an airlocked access for passenger boarding and ice cap access. The inner door was already opening when he arrived, though he did not wait for it to finish, swooping through the widening gap into the cavernous airlock beyond. Having detected his arrival, Iris began the inner door closing again, well before it had finished opening. As soon as it was closed, the depressurization began, a 10-minute cycle for a chamber this large, allowing Mason time to review the route out onto the exterior of the ice shield. He would exit to the underside paths, large tunnels that run parallel with the spines of her sails, each a few dozen kilometers long, and rotation ensured that they all felt like down, until you reach open space, a literal bottomless pit. Once the pressure in the airlock reached 3 kp, the exterior door began to open, allowing Mason to head out into the icy cavern beyond. More than a kilometer in diameter, the chamber was far from empty. A dozen passenger shuttles were pitted to the icy ceiling above, along with a few hundred cargo containers. Most, if not all, would be empty now, only useful when she was close to planets. Selecting a tunnel at random, Mason jumped, falling away from the central axis and toward the starry blackness beyond.